Can't believe it. They did it. And what am I talking about? Well, that's all coming up right now on Sports Hour. Yeah, the big thing happened this week. One thing that was absolutely crazy was what happened in one game. And to be honest, this is not something I would have ever expected to occur. Right? So yeah, the Hawks won. After all of that, after 11 weeks straight, they have won a game. Now, was it impressive they won a game? Yeah, probably not so much, considering the team they played against was, in fact, the Angels, who hadn't been doing too well either. I mean, also the Angels had not done terribly, but it was a weird week for the Angels after they got beat by 20 points against the Hawks. And of course, the Panthers are still undefeated because we can't seem to get them to lose. And the second highest scoring game ever in the NBA history occurred. The Hawks and Texans. And if you want to know what the first one was, it was actually over 400 points. It was Panthers and Jets back in 2018. Highest scoring game ever in a game. Ever. That game went to 2-second overtime. This is the highest scoring game in recent history, because in that time there was 2 overtimes and it continued going until someone won or second overtime ended. But they continued going until that point. It was, if I'm right about that, 43 points, which is 485 points. It's not 487. I'm misreading that. Yeah, Panthers got 444 points in that game, and the Jets got 441. But as it is, the Hawks did win that game, and they were pretty close. They were actually leading 90% of the game. Basically, about 50 minutes of the game, and that's pretty huge for any team to be able to do that. Now back to Colts and the Tex. Colts and Tex scored 245 points, which is insane, and is the highest scoring portion in the last 4 years. When they went to the previous season, the Panthers and Jets had the highest score overall. Highest score currently, it's still for a single team. Is still the Panthers with 189 points, and that was this season. It'll be interesting going up this week, and now we're gonna go back. We're gonna go to the playoffs. We are on the home stretch, if you know what I mean, of teams. No teams have been eliminated, surprisingly. Now, the Jets were eliminated from being the divisional leaders because of the fact that they can't win the division. There's no way to win the division for this team. But anyways, every team has a possibility to make playoffs. Even the Falcons have a possibility to make playoffs with 11 wins left. Wait, is that right? Is that right? Yeah, because there's 7 games remaining in the season. Wait, no, there's not. There are actually 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, there's 7 games left in the season. So if, by some chance, every single person in the wildcard position, that is the Saints, the Browns, and the Ravens all lose, and every single person here, they can officially make the playoffs. Which means the Knights can't win more than one. Whites can't win any games. The Bulldogs can win up to 1 game. The Indians can win up to 2 games, and Angels can win up to 2 games. You get the point. And basically, all these teams here can't win more games. If the Falcons do lose, they will be eliminated from the playoffs, and the Hawks losing this week probably won't get to keep them in the playoffs hunt at this point. As of right now, if any of these 3 teams win, and the Falcons and Hawks do not win, they're probably out of the playoffs. And any team means not in no eliminated teams. So there's no eliminated teams right now. Same thing with the ABL. The ABL has no eliminated teams, and it actually looks awful. It looks even worse. If you look at the total amount of wins, 83 wins compared to 86 losses versus the Panthers, that team who have 89 versus 86. It does not look very likely that this teams are going to be in the best position. Now, as of right now, no teams have locked their playoff position. However, looking at the playoff position, the Panthers win 2 games, and the Saints lose 2 games, the Panthers will have clinched the division at that time. But only if the Panthers win 2 games, I mean they go 13-0, and the Saints lose those same two games. Now, looking at the NBL North for that specific reason, Panthers are going to play the Dolphins and Colts next. Pretty likely that it will occur. Dolphins are not the best team at this point in time, and the Colts are not very good either. Although they did happen to score 115 this week. So it's reasonable. As for the Saints, they play the 8th and the Angels. There's pretty much no chance that they lose both of those games. Maybe they'll lose one of them, but not lose both of them. I think it will actually end up coming down to the Panthers and Saints final divisional game of the season to decide whether the Panthers will actually clinch the division at that point. So it may be a couple of weeks before we actually see a clinch occur. But the Panthers are pretty close to it. And according to this, if the Panthers do win, there'll still be a possibility, but it will be very difficult. The Saints would have to lose those two games, and the Panthers would have to win those two games in order for the Panthers to clinch a playoff position. Currently, believe it or not, the lowest placement can officially make the playoffs as the wild card team. So even the Falcons can do it right now. As for the ABL, every team is still in position for the last position, the 7th seed in the playoffs. The Colts are 2-1, and the Lightning are 5-6. After winning, by the way, their first 5 games of the season, I believe. Yeah, so if you look at this, the Jets had a problem. They lost the 6 of their first couple games. Then they won 4 straight. Then they lost 1. Then they won. Then they're looking at probably winning this week against the Jets. So they're actually in a decent position. However, the Lightning won the first 5 games of the season straight, and then have looked depressing ever since. Their closest game was the Ravens game, and that was honestly kind of sad. Versus the Lions, other than the fact that the Panthers and Saints games, they've done pretty decently over the years. They're opposed to winning against the Browns, and we'll see how that works out in the end for that week. Look at the rankings. The overall still pretty close. It's only got .551 for the total amount of predictions. I edited these things to make sure I have 115 wins, which honestly is not at all impressive. Because in previous years, before I did this, I was easily getting 150 wins at this point. Which, by the way, is about half of the predictions. Half of the things that you can get in a single season. So I'm a little disappointed this year, but overall still pretty low. The overall average wins is probably about 100 this time, so it's not terribly far off. All right, looking at this next week, it is going to be an interesting week for Week 12. First week, the Hawks played the Cardinals. The Hawks were able to win last week, and the Cardinals, they won as well, but they play against what's supposed to be the toughest team. Although I'm kind of questioning that at this point. So this will be a fairly tough game. As a bonus, Cardinals and Hawks game is also a divisional matchup. Don't know if that's the first divisional matchup of the season for them. Or not. It is, let's see. I'll make sure I'm right about that. Yeah, looking at the Cardinals, this will be the Hawks' second matchup, I believe. Is that correct? Because they played the Dragons and they played the Bulldogs, so this will be their officially third official matchup. And they have not done well in divisional games at all. I mean, they got crushed in their game against the Dragons. And then they didn't do terribly against the Bulldogs. But this will be a week to decide off of that. It's going to be a tough game for them. Saints and Athens, not divisional, and this will be Saints need to lose this game in order for the Panthers to clinch in 2 weeks. But we'll see. Packers and Oilers, divisional matchup. I don't know what I'm doing with that. Packers and Oilers is a divisional matchup. And both these teams are looking be in a pretty strong position. Browns and Lions. Browns and Lions are not in the same division, and they're not ever planning to be close. This is going to be a tough game between two teams that could go either way. I'm looking in a pretty tough matchup at this point. Indians Colts. Indians Colts are not in the same division, so this could be in either way. I'm probably going to hope that the Indians are probably going to win this game, but we'll see. But I have my predictions. Chargers and Werewolves. Not in the same division. Jets and Pirates not in the same division. Tigers and Bobcats. Nope, not in the same division. Lightning and Angels should be in the same division, I believe. No, they're not. Text and Bulldogs. They're not in the same division. Knights and Falcons, nope. Giants and Dragons, are they in the same division? They are. I should have these memorized by now, but I don't. UNC and Westfield are in the same division, and that I'm pretty sure about. They are not. Dolphins, Parrots are not in the same division. Beagles and Ravens shouldn't be in the same division either. So it looks like we have very few divisional matchups this week. Beagles and Ravens. And finally, assuming the Dogs, I believe, assuming our Dogs are not in the same division, so we literally have exactly 2 divisional matches up this week. The predictions for the Cardinals and Hawks are very highly favored to the Hawks. But, we've seen the Hawks not do too well in any of these games. In fact, looking back at the Hawks scoreline, they're only averaging about 75, 76 points per game. And they're allowing more points than they are scoring. Cardinals, they're averaging on 90 points per game and are scoring slightly more points per game. They are allowing more points, but there's not ends. So they're scoring much better than the Hawks are. While I don't want to knock the Hawks, I won't want to say, yeah, Hawks, you got no chance. I will predict the Cardinals to win this game, mostly because I don't think there's much of a chance. But it will be a really close matchup. I'm only with a 2-point prediction. Saints and Athens. I want the Saints to lose this game for the Panthers, but in the context here, it's got to look at what happens. The Saints are averaging 87 points per game. They're scoring slightly more than their opponents. But in reality, the Athens are scoring awful. And I have to predict the Saints to win this game, although I kind of don't want them to. I'm 7-point prediction in favor of the Packers and Otters. A tough matchup. Packers getting only about 74 points per game on average, and Packers are allowing way more points than they are scoring, versus the Otters, who are hit over 1,000 this week and are scoring 95 points per game. Yeah, this is a pretty huge game for the teams. I want to say this could be a potential matchup in the later points of the season. Now, of course, obviously, right now it would not be. I have to go with the prediction the Otters will do better, and I'm going to go with the Otters winning this week. 12-point predictions to favor the Otters. Browns and Lions. This is a very weird game. On average, the Browns are scoring have just hit 1,000 points and are scoring 90 points per game. Versus the other team, the Lions, who have done really well this season so far. They've just hit 1,000. They're at 99 points per game. Honestly, this could go either way. I have to look at which one has the better chance of winning this game. And to be honest, I have to pick the Browns to lose this game. Not by much. I think a 1-point game it'll be a really close game in the end. Indians and Colts. Ugh. Colts were shocked us and surprised and got plenty of points this year. Even though they did still lose, they scored a ton of points versus the Indians, who did not. I mean, sure, the last week was an Indians win against the surprising is, but they were not impressive. They didn't score very well. In fact, they haven't really been impressive for the last 2 weeks, to be honest. They did lose against the Lions as well. This is tough. I mean, the Indians did really well 2 weeks ago, but did terrible last week. I have to go with the Colts winning this game. I'm going to go with a 3-point prediction in favor of the Colts. Chargers and Werewolves. I'm going to pick the Werewolves all day. Werewolves are doing very well, even though they are kind of in the position of not being the head of the division. 87 points per game, 87.5 points per game is not, the big outcome. because the Chargers haven't done well at all, I don't see the Chargers winning this game. Jets and Pirates. The Jets were surprising last week when they took out, taken out by the Athens, even though they did score a decent amount of points. However, looking at who they're playing, the Pirates, I'm going to go with the Pirates winning this game. However, I'm not too impressed with the Pirates right now. 2-point prediction in both these last two games. Tigers and Bobcats. The Tigers have done decently. Their division is a tough division. They're scoring on average of 9 points per game approximately, versus the Bobcats, who have not really been that impressive. Scoring only 80 points per game. I have to go with the Tigers winning this game, and I'm going to go with a 10-point prediction in favor of this. Lightning and Angels. Angels got demolished by the worst team in the league last week. Oh yeah, and the Lightning weren't very impressive last week either. They lost to the Indians. These teams were both really bad this last week. I'm going to give the Angels the benefit of the doubt here and go with the Lightning. Just because the Lightning have done decently, just not well. 86 points per game is not really that impressive. But considering that the Angels lost against the worst team in the league and are only scoring about 90 points per game, I don't give this game could go either way, and I'm going to go with the Lightning winning this game. Tex Bulldogs have a really good score in line. The Tex don't have a particularly good scoring line. I have to say, I'm sorry about that. Favor the Bulldogs. In both those games, I'm going with a 7-point prediction in favor. I know the Lightning were favored in that game, but honestly, kind of don't feel like it being like this. Knights and Falcons. Falcons need to win to stay in the playoff post, but I think it's going to be the Knights to win this game. Falcons only average about 77-ish points per game versus the Knights, who kind of need to win this game to stay in the playoff hunt too, score about 80. It's going to be a close game, and the fact is, I think the Knights will have a slight advantage. I'm going to have a 1-point prediction here in favor of the Knights. Giants and Dragons, this is going to be the game of the week. I don't feel like it should be, though. I'm going with Giants all day because of the fact of what they've done. Giants are currently 9-2, scoring out 94 points per game, versus the Dragons, who have not done well at all since then. Only scoring 83. I'm going with Giants. I'm going with a 50-point favoritism. I'm kidding. We're going with 21 points, but not 221. We're going with a pretty huge boost to the Giants. Dragons are favored to win. Don't think so. I think it's going to be the Giants. I'm that confident in that game. I think it's going to be the Giants all day. UNC and Westville could go either way. I mean, UNC, 86 points per game with 4-7 record, versus Westville, who's also got a 4-7 record and only scoring 84. This could go either way, and it's honestly a very tough game to predict. And it's also really late in the season, really late game. I'm going to predict Westville here, but I don't know. I'm going to go with a 0-point prediction. Okay, like half a point prediction. I think it's gonna be a tie. Okay, fine, it's 1 point, but they didn't like half points. Dolphins and Panthers. Do I want the Panthers to go undefeated? Kind of. I kind of don't, though, because guess what that means? In week 9, 2 weeks ago, they were 134 wins straight. And I don't know how many seasons that is. At this point, if they are at 137 wins straight, not counting playoffs, we aren't really looking at those. I'm really getting kind of tired of the Panthers showing everything. That was my team, but to be honest, I really don't want the Panthers to win this week. I really don't. Am I going to pick the Panthers this week? No. I'm going to pick the Dolphins this week. And the reason why is because I don't want to see them win. I don't want to see the Panthers win. I probably will pick wrong. I'm going to go with a 1 point prediction. I think I'm not super confident in the Panthers not winning that game, but it's a Monday game. It's not going to be easy. Beagles and Ravens, I'm going to go with the Beagles winning that game. They kind of need to win that game. And they currently are 8-3 with a 90-point game. Versus the Ravens who, yeah, they're 8 points right now. Never mind. I'm going to go with a 2 3-point prediction in favor of the Beagles. Superman and the Dogs could be the toughest game of the week. I'm going to predict the Superman to win the game. 3-point prediction. Superman only are 7-3-1, which I honestly kind of want the Superman to win. I want to see them be the team that makes the Super Bowl. I'm not really wanting the Beagles to make it to the Super Bowl because of the last couple of years. If you look back at the last 2 years, well, 2 teams you see, Panthers have been there the last 4 years. But guess who made it the last 2 years? The Beagles. Who made it the year before that? Ethan. Winning their division. Actually, I think they kind of snuck into the playoffs. And the previous year, we had I can't remember who it was. Cardinals. Oh, Cardinals did it previous year. So, to be honest, I want to see a new team. And to be honest, I would love to see the Superman. The Superman have not been to the Ball Bowl. And as you see, they haven't even made the playoffs in the 3 years they've been a team. Kind of the same thing with Westville, but I don't expect Westville. I don't expect them to ever make the playoffs. And the Chargers need to get to the point where they actually make the playoffs. Yeah. It's getting really close to the end of the season here, and I want to see one of these teams to do it. I want one team to make it to the Ball Bowl and win. I do not think there's a chance the Panthers will not make the playoffs at this point because of the fact is even if they happen to lose the last 7 games of the season, that puts them only... let me check and see. It's 11... It still puts them at 61%. And see that no one except for the Saints and the divisional leaders have a lower rating than that. I don't think it's much chance in it. So, even though I think the Panthers will have a good chance, good week, and a good play out for this, I hope to see that a new team is, and we'll see what happens next week. These are, of course, my predictions. I'm hoping the Dolphins do win because I think this is the last team that Panthers actually might lose against. Yeah, the last team. The next team I think they might lose against the Saints, and then the only team I think they have a chance at losing against is probably the Pirates after that point. So I'm not too confident in the Panthers not winning the division. If somehow the Saints are able to win all the rest of the games in the season, they could still win the division. But that does require the Panthers to lose 3 of the games and beat. Yeah, so actually, it would have to be. They have to win out for one thing, and the Panthers would have to lose several games. Not too confident in that happening, but we'll see what happens. And of course, Sunset Factor is still suspended for until 2 weeks from now. And we actually had no one injured still this week. Juan Winters is going to be back on the field this week, and we'll see how that works out for the Techs. Hopefully that helps them out. Who knows? Thank you guys for watching Sports Hour. This has been week number 12, and I will see you guys next week. Nick, have a good night.